what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Mili reaction. Today we have Life We Sowed, and Dane Haven requested this one with a lot of people wanting me to get to this. I also did see this one a few times in those other related videos, so I knew this would show up eventually, so I guess it's time to listen to it now. Without further ado, let's go! Very interesting use of percussion. It's honestly not too often you hear like tuned drums in general, but let alone being part of that melody. I mean, I'm loving this feel already. Definitely different, for sure, but still within that general energy that they've done other stuff for Promise of Wizard. So me wonder what drums those are. I can't really tell. Maybe they're played with something non-standard, like djembe but with soft mallets, something like that. Super interesting choice though. I really love that. It's one of the more like dense instrumentals I've heard from them in a while. It's just got a lot of room. There's another element right there. That rim clack. Again, new elements this far into the song. That hi-hat there is just such a good detail for that last refrain. Ooh, okay. Again, this might be one of the more dense ones I've heard recently. This had a lot going on. This was really intriguing. Again, I've heard other ones from this, like I've heard Year End and other songs from Promise of Wizard, but this one definitely feels a little bit more intricate than those other ones. Maybe that's just because they had that non-standard drum thing going on. I'm still not entirely sure what that is. I'm still pretty confident that it being like a skinhead drum, like a djembe or some other form of drum, a conga even, that are tuned properly to the notes they're trying to play, and then playing them with the soft mallet would get something very similar to this sound. I'm just not sure if that's exactly what they're doing, you know? They could be using like pitched up and down talking drums drums, for example. Like, there's so many options it could be, and I just don't know what it is. It would be almost impossible for me to decipher that truly without actually seeing what they're playing. So it's just cool having these sorts of elements in here, though. And I also loved, again, that they had different varieties of things in there, all the way up to the end with that like little hi-hat pattern that was just layered in there. Really no reason for that to be in there. It just kind of works, though. It's just like, where, why? Okay. I mean, but it works so well. It fits. Like, you could have put that in earlier. Honestly, they might have, but when I listen to these songs, I have to like actively listen to different portions just so I can understand a little bit of everything going on in the song before I then talk about it. So it's very possible that it was there earlier and my brain just didn't pick up on it till that last time, but I don't think it is. I think that was the only time, because I feel like I would have noticed it sooner. You know, drummer brain is going to notice new drums. I think another super interesting thing about this instrumental is actually how the guitar was played as a drone. Like, it did move around a little bit, but for the most part of this song, it was just sitting there on like one really high chord. It could have even been a mandolin. It sounded pretty thin, so maybe, or at least they were going for that sound. Point aside, though, that was really neat. Like, that's something that was done a lot more in like Old England and Old Europe. They love doing that for some reason. I'm not entirely sure the reason why that was so popular. It's just one of those things, you know, that music goes through its evolutions, and that for whatever reason was very popular to do, probably due to its simplicity if I had to guess, but I don't know the history there, so I'm not going to try to speak on it. But I love that they did that, because it gave this song immediately a very specific frame of time, like a very, very specific window of music history that pretty much anyone who's ever seen anything, a historical drama, some anime, for example, that are in this time period, have heard that sort of influence. And it's like, okay, cool. So you're immediately placing yourself into that sound in that time period, so you're able to just kind of contextualize things a little bit better just based off the song. I like that it was kind of devoid of a bass line, really. Like, they kept the drums as the majority of that, which is nice because it was kind of acting as a bass line as well with that chromatic scale up and down. It was really, really cool. I just love the writing of this one overall. Lyrically, this might be one of the more simplistic ones, but that's also because it was for this show and the series. So of course they're going to be writing to that world and not like within their own storylines and their own lore that Mili has. So that is kind of lost on me. I was seeing what the lyrics said, but it wasn't really speaking to me in any way. So that's probably just because I haven't watched the show truly. I'm sure a lot of people who have seen the series are like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's like contextually aware and it's very in the know and like, cool, great, awesome. I just don't have that context myself. But the other thing I wanted to credit here was the production. The mixing and mastering of this one was phenomenally strong. Like, every little piece of the frequency, like I've mentioned this many times before, had its place. It was super well balanced, but not in the way I talk about in other videos, because usually I'm talking about EDM stuff, and that's a different type of mix. Every genre has like their strengths and weaknesses. For this one, it nailed this sound. It had just enough of that low-end resonance on that bottom drum that I was feeling that like the pump in my ears. And it wasn't overwhelming or anything, but then they had enough richness in the highs with the guitars sitting up there, and for some reason, I don't know how they did this, they weren't fighting each other. That low and high was like perfectly balanced, and it wasn't like they were hyper compressing it or anything to force that balance. It was just really good recordings and really, really nice panning and everything. They were just placing it exactly where it needed to be, and it didn't bother anything else in here, which is a lot harder to do when you're doing something like this with actual instruments compared to using synths and everything. Like, that's relatively and comparatively easier to move things out of the way and get them to place themselves in a better spot. You can kind of pick and choose and be a little bit more specific, but when you're working with like acoustic instruments, you really don't get that much. You are given what the microphone catches, and if you're using good enough equipment, that's fucking everything, and you have to be super careful about what you cut and what you boost, and getting that balance is really, really difficult. Whoever did this one, I saw the name for it, let me check here, Satoshi Oneda and Akihiro Shiba. fantastic work here on the mixing, recording, mastering, just phenomenal balancing. I just, that's some gorgeous work, some really top tier, high class effort there to make sure that everything was doing its part without getting in the way of something else. I was actually impressed at how clear Cassie's voice was with that guitar up there, because those are in similar vocal ranges. She has a pretty high voice, and you can kind of hear it up there with that guitar in certain frequencies, but neither of them were like really fighting for that top spot. You could definitely tell the guitar was just nice, rich, and tweaked up here, and her voice was just sitting right below it, just ever so slightly in its own little notch. And oh man, just this might be one of the best productions I've heard out of Mili in general. Just overall, the instrumentation and just keeping all of that under control, really fantastic work. They've had some great ones. This might be number one now, but I have yapped about this a lot, so I will end it here. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see something else from Mili on the channel, leave it down in the comments below and maybe I'll get to it next time. We never know how many songs Mili has. It always feels like I run through all of Mili's stuff. Like, I don't think there's anything left to get to, and then someone's like, hey, did you know about this other entire album that you haven't even heard a single song off of? And I'm like, what? Like, I've heard so many of their songs, but there's always something new. So if you have something, let me know, of course. And also a quick shout out to the merch collection that I've done with Epo TSK recently. We've got shirts and sweatshirts, you know, the usual stuff, but also like AirPods cases, which I only just recently found out that I could make. So like, that's pretty cool. If you want to support us and kind of wear something that I personally love the artwork of, Epo's work is fantastic, and you want to like represent us, then you can go to the store and buy that. That'd be awesome. There's also going to be an acrylic keychain coming in about a month that just takes longer to produce, so I'll let you all know when that happens. But if you don't want to do any of that and you maybe just want to follow me and support me for more videos coming in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!